If you could, that'd be great. Thank you.
I'd like to call this evening's King's Board of Education regular board meeting to order. Mr. Morrow, could you please call?
Ms. Phillips, Ms. Groff,
Here.
Ms. Cowan,
Here.
Mr. Skrull,
Here.
Mr. Belfrom.
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Morrow.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull. Yes. Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. The next item on the agenda are the reports and presentations for this evening. Mr. Sears.
Mr. Belfram, I'm going to start off and allow Mrs. Gould to kick off tonight's meeting.
Hold on, here we go. Well, it is my honor to be here tonight to present. We have 7 teachers that are here. Well, they're not actually all here. We have 7 teachers that were involved in the Joshua's Place summer program this summer. They're all SLE teachers, and Joshua's Place puts on a great summer program. They've been doing it for years, and we are lucky enough to be able to be a part of that with our staff. Several of our staff members, 7 in particular, go every week. They are doing some sort of a reading recovery program with the students. And I'm going to bring up Kevin Payton, who's the director of Joshua's Place. His wife Nona's here, and Susan Simendinger, who is in charge of all of the summer programs. And I don't even know your actual title, Susan. She's the program director. But and we also we have 7 staff members. I'd like to go ahead and say their names, and I'll bring a couple of them up here, and then I'm going to have Kevin kind of explain a little bit about what's happened there this summer. Amanda Way kind of is the one who kind of started. She's a 3rd grade teacher at SLE, and she was the one who kind of went to Susan and said, "Hey, I think I'd like to have a presence at the summer program and help some of these kids. We know some of these kids are kind of having a hard time, and we just don't want that summer slide, which is what happens in the summer when kids don't really get the opportunity to read and do different things educationally. So if we can somehow stop that by working with them, that would be great." So Amanda got a group of teachers together. They include Jamie Fox, who is here tonight, Rachel Manley, Jen Wesley, Heather Combs, who is here tonight, Brooke Blount, and Julie Elder. Jamie and Heather, why don't you guys come on up too? We can maybe talk a little bit about, Kevin, I'm going to have you come over here and let's talk a little bit about, I want you to tell everybody about the program. And I also, Kevin, we've got some great data about some of the reading recovery that's happened in the program. Kevin?
Sure. Well, thank you, Dawn. Thank you, board, for having us. Superintendent Spears, appreciate you guys having us. If you don't know, firstly, I'm Kevin Payton. I'm the executive director of Joshua's Place. I'm also a local pastor, so Dawn has given me 30 minutes here to preach. We're going to take up an offering before it's all over with. Just kidding. I'll be brief. You may not know it, Joshua's Place, we're actually in 5 school districts, but we started here in Kings 14 years ago in South Lebanon on Pike Street in a small house there. As you headed into town, we started out as what was really just a basic food pantry. 2012, we moved into what was the old South Lebanon Elementary. We've repurposed that into a community center now. And that is really the center of our outreach and our programming that is now in 5 school districts. We're somewhere north of 400 volunteers, about 30 churches that are participating in the work we're doing around the region. And our focus is working with families that are struggling with poverty, specifically around the issues of development, finding families where they're at that have needs needs that are creating barriers. And we know, especially for kids, those barriers include a lot of times reading. And so our summer focus, as we have Whiz Kids tutoring throughout the year, and the program that Susan led and these teachers were involved with was a summer reading recovery and a summer reading lab. We know, and what we saw last year, we heard back from the teachers, these students that had started the summer, and we always anticipate that summer slide, that not only did they not slide last year, but they actually advanced in their reading levels. And of course, this against the backdrop of virtual learning and pandemic, all the disruptions that came, especially for the families that we really come close to, the families that are most vulnerable. And so what is so important for us at Joshua's Place is the critical relationship we have with you guys, the school district. We could not do the work we do, supporting the families we support, if there wasn't this relationship. If these teachers weren't willing to volunteer, give of their time, I wish you could see the look on the kids' faces when they walk into the community center and they see a teacher that they normally see in one setting and they see him in another, how much that reinforces the relationship, how much trust is built, and how much joy that brings to the families. And what we're seeing in these interactions are not only the methods and the techniques of reading being introduced, but it becomes infectious with the families, because we've got relationships with these families well beyond just this program and other parts of the things that we do. And we see the families engaging at a deeper level because of what happens here on the summers. And so when Dawn asked me to come, I couldn't miss the opportunity, because I just wanted to say thank you. Firstly, to the leadership here in the King School District, your willingness to partner with us, focused on a very similar goal, and then specifically for these 7 teachers at SLE to really understand that the work they do isn't just about the time they spend Monday to Friday throughout the school year, that they're giving themselves kind of all year long. So we appreciate that. Thanks.
I do have to say, really excited. Heather and a couple of the teachers were actually featured this week at a special, I don't know if you saw it, but on WCPO, Madeline Ottley had come out to SLE to do a story about the Reading Recovery Summer Program. So we're really thankful to WCPO for putting us in the news and over such a great positive story. So thank you.
Continuing with the reports, presentations, the gifted update. Ms. Martin, Mr. Freeman.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to turn this over to Matt, but I just wanted to do a quick introduction. It's probably been the past 3 or 4 years, teaching and learning department. Matt and I have come before the board to kind of give an update of the work we started about 4 years ago around gifted, and revamping and starting over and surveying parents, teachers, students even, and then having an audit. So Matt and I received some good news last week we want to share with you, so I won't steal Matt's thunder.
Thanks, Dana. I think we've got a slide, if we can just kind of pull that up so we can see. But yeah, so just recently in reviewing our 21-22 data, we just had something that we wanted to share with you, primarily because we have been focusing more intentionally on gifted services and programming, and then sharing that with the board and the community. So just wanted to let you know that you might remember last fall, we talked about the report card and how it was changing. So the report card is changing. We'll go into way more detail with you later in the fall. The report card will be released actually on September 15th. So after that, we'll get with Mr. Sears and we'll get a date on the calendar when we can present in more detail everything. But right now, what you see here, it's a big green box, and that big green box says MET on the inside, and we're very excited about that because this indicates that our district met the performance index indicator for gifted. So we've not done that before. I hear a little bit of clapping. So we are excited about that. We are very excited about it. And you know, what this means is that our students who are identified as gifted performed at a level where we think they should be performing based on their abilities. So, you know, we attribute this to what Dana mentioned before. You know that we've conducted an audit before. We have a great consultant that we work with through Hamilton County ESC that helps us with our gifted coordination. We were able to better actually track our written education plans and acceleration plans for our students. We started the professional learning for our staff who are providing instructional services to our students, specifically in math this year. So we're just really excited about it. Want to take a couple minutes to share that with you and just kind of celebrate together. More details to come later, but thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's amazing what happens when focus goes on. I mean, it just proves it. And
Absolutely.
these kids deserve those services. So
Over a 4% increase in that, and it's pretty significant. So
thank you for your focus on that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Next, under reports and presentations, operating levy, Mr. Sears, Mr. Morrow.
Thank you, Mr. Belfrom. I just wanted to remind the board and community, once again, I did last week, but just to touch base again, that we're constantly updating our website. Right on the homepage, 2022 operating levy. The ask is for operating dollars, which funds education programs, student services, salaries, benefits. And we're trying to put factual information about the district on our website that's easy for the community and the board and our staff to access at any time. We'll be constantly updating that as we get questions and things seem relevant. For example, the board had a question at the last meeting about potential tax savings for elderly or disabled folks. And we did add that to the FAQ immediately after, so that information's out there. So it's a living, breathing document, factual. We try to use third-party sources for all the information if possible. Obviously, there's some things that come straight from our records, so nothing really we can do about that, but we try to put third-party when possible. As I said, right on the homepage, operating levy button, click it, and then it takes you to a lot of resources.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morrow. It's a good reminder. And obviously, you're always available for any questions
Absolutely. Anytime, email,
Anytime.
phone, stop by.
during office hours, right? Or any-
Well, preferably, but anytime.
I have a question for you. I had a conversation with our state senator, Steve Wilson last week, actually. And we had a pretty detailed conversation about levies. Is there a link? Because I don't think we can explain this. It's so difficult to explain and understand. Is there a link from the state that we can have for the Cup-Patterson Fair Funding Plan, just to outline?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And again, it's so hard to explain, but I
It
do
is.
think people would benefit if they really understood
Yep.
or was able to read a little bit, and then maybe they could come to you with questions.
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. So kind of big picture, just to touch on it, and then we'll move on. Basically, they're trying to fund schools per student on what they think the state should be paying versus what they think the district, the community should be paying. And it's a number of factors. They factor in what they expect class sizes to be, how many administrators they think that a district should have, all the way down the list of expenses that goes into teaching a student. So yeah, there's some good resources. It's been over a year now since it was implemented. So there's plenty of guides and summaries out there where people can get information. So we can absolutely put that information on the FAQ.
Okay, and specifically the guarantee and the cap, trying to help people understand that and how, school districts like Kings and Little Miami and, a lot of our neighbors are certainly at a disadvantage from the state.
Absolutely. So Kings, for example, a guarantee means they're going to give us a set amount no matter what. So we got roughly $10 million from the state last year. Their formula said we should have gotten less, but we're on the guarantee, meaning they're guaranteeing that we'll get so much based on what they've given us in prior years. So that's kind of a synopsis of the guarantee, and we'll definitely put some additional information about that. And if anybody wants to have any conversations or go through that, I'm more than happy to talk about it in detail.
Thank you.
And quickly before we move on in the agenda, I wanted to give the floor to Mr. Sears for just a moment.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Mr. Belford. As we, first of all, I want to just commend Joshua's Place and the work that you guys do, and Kevin and Nona and Susan, the work with partnering with us as a school district, but our teachers, but really to service our kids. And so tremendous. I just want to add that we appreciate the partnership, looking forward to that for many years, and always going above and beyond. We're very thankful to have you as a part of this district. Also thank Tim, Matt and Dana for their work, for the focused work around our gifted. That's something to be proud of. Increasing academic performance will continue to be a primary focus, and servicing our kids where they are and what they need is really beneficial. And that's kudos to them for that. In a short period of time, really starting to make a difference. And we've got work to do there too as well to continue, but really proud of the work to where we've started. As we begin and we think about tomorrow, our students are walking into the halls of our school, half of them at least, and then the other half on Thursday. It's really exciting. And I can't thank all of our district, our support staff, our custodians, maintenance, nurses, grounds crew, administrators, administrative assistants, bus drivers, transportation folks, for all the work they do to prepare. It doesn't stop until probably those buses start rolling tomorrow. There's some folks that we're always enrolling new kids. We've enrolled quite a few in the last few weeks, and it's a lot of work ongoing. And I'm thankful to have an administrative team, support staff here at central office, and just overall, this is a really fantastic place to prepare kids for their future. And I'm glad to be a part of that. I'll say this, that, we started our opening day yesterday, and I'm going to give a big shout out to 7 teachers and 1 administrator who took a big risk to talk in front of their peers and give some really inspirational words. Most teachers, and I don't want to overgeneralize this, don't like really speaking in front of adults, let alone their peers. And they absolutely crushed it. And I'm really proud of the work they did. They accepted the challenge, but we've got a great staff here, and we can amplify their ability and empower them to do great things for our kids, because that's what our focus is. Every day, it's about what we can do for our kids. And with that, we're looking forward to our kids starting tomorrow. We've also have been very fortunate as we look to make decisions for what's in the best interest of our students. We've worked really hard this summer, and I know that we released a collaborative video late last week with Sheriff Larry Sims and some folks from Deerfield Township Board of Education and some of our school resource officers. It's been a big deal for us to really analyze how do we improve and increase and still keep an eye on the safety of our students and our staff. And so we're really fortunate to have a tremendous partnership relationship with not only the Sheriff's Office, but as Deerfield Township as well, to add resource officers. So I'm going to lob this over to Matt for a few minutes just to kind of talk through that and give an introduction to the folks that are going to play a vital role and build relationships and help keep us safe.
All right, thank you. First, I want to thank Sheriff Larry Sims, who's back there. We've got some distinguished guests in the back. To start with Sheriff Larry Sims, we went to the sheriff mid-summer, early summer, and collaborated at great length to come up with the best plan for our buildings and how to staff them the most effectively that we can with the staffing that he's able to provide us. We worked very hard to figure out the best way. So I want to introduce Sheriff Sims, is in the back there, and thank him for all his work and partnership with the school, because we lean on them heavily for anything from a security perspective. Also in the back is Lieutenant Nick Marconi. Lieutenant Marconi's taken over for Lieutenant Brian Payne. Giant shoes to fill. We're extremely excited to get Marconi on our team and involved. Deputy John Downs is also back there. Deputy Downs is a familiar face for all of us. He manages our high school and junior high campus. Deputy Trent Barker in year 2. Very excited to have him back. Trent will be housed between KME and KEC. New to our team, Deputy Phil Green will be housed at South Lebanon Elementary. And then last but not least, you'll see Deputy David Shepard down at Columbia and JF Burns. So you see our team back there, 4 SROs. We're going from 2 to 4. The nice thing is we'll all be able to collaborate, do some different things as far as staff training, get involved with our students to create relationships. Super excited to start this new larger team in the district and all that it can bring for our kids and our staff. So if you know, I'll start the applause. Appreciate you guys. Can't wait to start the year. The sheriff also said he needed 30 minutes, so I'm gonna let him get up there. I think he's in good shape. But thank you, guys. Can't wait.
Thank you. We do appreciate the partnership and relationship that we have with teams and township for many years. And just excited about building that. And these are crazy things that we see, and not only in Ohio, but across the country. And it's unfortunate that we're at a point where we have to make these kind of decisions, but I trust that these decisions are good hands here. More kudos to all of you for getting out in front of this early and proud to be part of
And with that, let me just reiterate quickly. I said in the work session, and I know Mr. Lucky, he's a humble man, but he has been working on this. It wasn't midsummer, so you know it was early summer, late spring. Mr. Sears, they've been working on this quite a bit before the end of the school year, and my understanding is when they reached out to Sheriff Sims, I mean, he didn't hesitate. It was a question of how will we make it work, yeah, just to reiterate that, we really do appreciate Sheriff's Department, Deerfield Township, to have officers here. You know, any of you who've had children come through here, you know, my son still asks me about Deputy Downs all the time. So I just very glad to see all of you here. Appreciate, it's very comforting. Someone who still has a child in the district, it's comforting. And I agree with Sheriff. It's unfortunate, it's necessary, but it's very comforting to see you guys patrolling and securing our building. So appreciate what you do. And with that, we will move on in the agenda to public participation. King's Board of Education welcomes and encourages visitors to participate in their meetings. The board president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak during the public presentation portion of the meeting. Once recognized, you will have 3 minutes to address the board. Please make sure to sign in so that the board president knows to call on you. We ask that speakers avoid personal attacks on individuals during their public address to the board. If an individual has an issue with an employee, we ask that you request a private meeting with the superintendent or that employee's direct supervisor. Please keep in mind that Board of Education meetings are held so that the board can conduct their business in public. The board president is the spokesperson for the board and may need to consult with other board members in order to respond to the public. A question from the public can be answered immediately, it may be. However, if time is needed to study the issue, the board may choose to make a statement at a later date. With that, our first speaker for the evening is Rebecca Veer.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca, and I'm here tonight to update the board on a project that I've been working on for approximately 8 months now. Last December, I became aware of some books in our K-6 classrooms and school libraries that were, in my opinion, inappropriate for our students. Since that time, I have read 15 books and submitted formal complaints on 9 of them. I have met with school administrators and exchanged numerous emails. A couple of weeks ago, I received an update from Mr. Sears as to what actions have already been taken, as well as future plans to address the acquisition process to be followed by each school library. Parents of Columbia students were asked to take part in the review process of my book complaints along with teachers and administrators. A standard response to parents who express concern about a book a student brings home is being prepared for Columbia parents. I am pleased with the progress thus far, and I appreciate the efforts made by Mr. Sears, Mrs. Martin, and Mr. Freeman to address my concerns. In order to better convey to you, the Board of Education, what content that I found to be objectionable, you will hear excerpts from some of these books tonight. You, as board members, have been copied on the numerous emails that I have sent. However, I feel it is important for you to have some additional details of my concerns so that you can stay engaged throughout this process. There is a need for more transparency to the community and parents in providing access to accurate and more detailed list of all books in K-6 buildings. This would include both school and classroom libraries. My focus has been on K-6 books, as students at this stage in their development are extremely vulnerable and easily influenced. Although library books are not required reading, these young students have access to them on a daily basis. Our library should not be exposing them to inappropriate content without a parent's knowledge or consent. What, if any, guidelines or criteria are currently being used to review current book complaints, and who determined these? I think that is a fair question. Committees being established to review books should include community members as well as parents in order to provide a more balanced viewpoint. By working together with the school, they can be a valuable resource in helping to set mutually agreed upon community standards. Although some families in our community may not have any students in school, these students are the children of our neighbors and of our friends. We should all care about them as they are part of our community. After all, the entire community has both a moral and vested interest in our schools. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Colleen Sheeter.
Good evening. We understand it's impossible for you to personally read every book called into question, so I appreciate the opportunity to help Rebecca in apprising the board of the concerns she so carefully and respectfully brought forward. The following are excerpts from the book titled "I'll Give You the Sun," which is in Columbia with our 9 to 11-year-olds. There's also boobs, which arrive overnight delivery, I swear. The following scene in the book discusses the physical sexual arousal of 2 boys. He's like a freaking eel, imagining myself fully loaded with my own private voltage as I whip this way and that, feeling their bodies twisting around mine, warm and slick, both of them pinning me again and again, and I'm lost in it when I realize I have a hard-on, a supernaturally hard hard-on. It's jammed into Zephyr's stomach.
Ms. Sheeter, could you pause for just one moment, please?
Yes, sir.
Because we do have a child in the back. Ma'am, would you like to take your child out while she reads these excerpts, or are you okay?
Thank you, Mr. Belford, and I do want to let the board and everybody here know that I did speak with the parents before the board meeting about this.
I'm asking them.
I know, I just wanted you to know that I appreciate respectful.
That. No, I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, excuse me. I don't have my glasses on and it's a different family, so. Let me know when it's okay to continue.
Okay. Please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Belfort.
Sure.
Why is he pussy homo bubbling me? Mayflies have 2 dicks. I can't stop thinking about them. I really, really like thinking about them. His breath was ragged, his giant hands all over me, his fingers in me. I sat on his lap and drank my first beer. He started to kiss my breasts. Fuck you, you toilet licking sociopaths. I'm going to stop here because honestly, as I was typing this presentation, it got me physically ill, imagining a 9-year-old reading this. I will refer you to the very well-prepared public complaints on this book that has 10 pages of excerpts, and will give you a more a better summary. The book uses the F-bomb on 11 pages, multiple times on 2 pages. It uses ASS 26 times, PUSSY 4 times, HELL 27 times, DAMN 4 times, SHIT 4 times. The book references underage drinking 19 times and drug use 3 times. In closing, I'd like once again to remind the board this book is in our school that houses our 9 to 11-year-olds. I implore you to take an active role in this process of reviewing our books, our processes for acquiring them, indexing them, and most of all, I beg you to make sure whatever new processes are implemented are done so with the utmost transparency regarding educational material in all of the locations in all of our schools. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rebecca Stockton. Is it Stockton, ma'am? I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Stockton,
Okay.
STOCKTON. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to help bring additional details of the concerns mentioned from the people that went before me. The books Ghost Boy and All-American Boy are found in our intermediate school with our 9 to 11-year-olds. These books press a narrative that the police are gratuitously killing Black people and that all white people are racist. Ghost Boys conflates the narrative by confusing the facts with fiction. Remember, these are 9-year-olds reading these books. Here are some of the quotes of the books. It's policemen acting a fool, murdering my boy. Meth, only white people do that shit. I didn't have to because my shield was I was white, all Black, all American, fuck. American boy shot, another boy shot just because he's Black. Were you surprised later when the gun turned out to be a toy? Yes, it looked real. He was threatening me. I walked closer to the officer. Why is he telling lies? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Being friends with a white girl, die, and a white girl can be your friend. I'm going to live in fear of the police for at least one day. So I can say, I don't think that's right. He is dragged from the truck. Mom's not going to save you, boy. His fist falls like a hammer. The man grabs his legs and pulls. The man chokes him. His feet leave the ground. His eyes bulge. Blood flows from his mouth. He's thrown to the ground. This is a vivid description of a murder scene. American Boy has 314 curse words in it, uses the F-bomb 43 times. I live in the district, and I also have many family who are police officers, some of whom live in the district over. My very good friend, who has a very large family of police officers, has grandchildren that attend King's. I'm asking the board to stay intimately involved with this matter. And while doing so, consider the feelings of our King students who are as young as 9 years old, who may be biracial, have a mom, a dad, aunt, uncle, police officers. And also please consider the message these books send in contrast to the trust that we want to instill between our students and our newly hired resource officers. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Anita Kane.
Good evening, and I'm just going to follow up again. Another book that Rebecca mentioned, it's at South Lebanon Elementary. This speaks about teenage sex, focuses on depression and suicide. The teenagers talk about 21-year-old Helena who committed suicide by drowning. They talk about how peaceful it was for her. The reason among themselves that is probably the best she died peaceful in her death of her own choosing, because the limitations of her deafness and her blindness were probably hard to live with. So we're teaching that deaf and blind people are better off dead, and life is hard, so just kill yourself. Anthony contemplates suicide several times throughout the book. Anthony finds his father's revolver in a drawer and picks it up. How strange, he thought, that he could, in a moment in his life, as perfectly as Helena, and had ended hers, so that his father would come back home to no one. So in other words, You can end your life in a moment. You can punish your parents by committing suicide. I don't think that's something we need to be teaching our kids. After Anthony, age 17, and Lily, age 15, slept together, Anthony attempts suicide. He thinks about committing suicide when he and Lily are getting ready to parachute out of a plane. He views it better than the life he will have. He implies blessed peace at dying. Then he does it, just like he planned. He jumps and he decides not to pull the ripcord. Anthony's friends discuss the suicide attempt in the next 50 pages. Perhaps it might be best if he died. He has no home. He has nobody. He has no job. He has no money. Far better that he killed himself properly, Simon said, instead of only half killing himself. Simon states that Anthony would be better off dead, and he had rarely put his mind to doing anything properly, even committing suicide. He couldn't do that correctly. Better that he had died, that a bomb had dropped on him. The book depicts God as mean and cruel. God moved in mysterious ways, so cruel to Anthony, cruel to her family. Why did they praise God so much in church if he was so cruel? People, this should not be in our schools. I am horrified at this. And I hope parents step up and really complain about it. This is terrible. You guys need to take a better look at these books. Thank you.
Was your name Anita?
Yes, I know. I
Anita
talked to
Kane.
you.
Can you, what was the name of the book? You didn't give the title.
Wild Lily.
Thank you.
I was just gonna ask that same question. Thanks, Jim.
Our next speaker is Deb Gill.
Hello. This book, The Moon Within, is located at Columbia Intermediate School, where 9 to 11-year-old children are educated in grades 5 and 6. I'm going to be reading you 4 excerpts that describe how the grandmother of 11-year-old Cece directs her in her exploration of her female private parts. This also includes teaching her how to arouse herself. Floor is the name Mima has called my down there girl's parts since I was very little. She held a mirror between my legs to let me inspect between the petals. Why is this button here and opening there? This button here is only for you. It's your happy button. You get to choose when to push it. Our florists are women's most magical parts. Aren't we lucky? I get a light squirmy feeling in my chest and sometime in my floor when he is near. I look at him, slip out my hand from under his, my floor more sparkly than ever. This book encourages sexual exploration and activity. It clearly states that a woman's genitals are the most important thing about her. When or how to discuss this type of topic should be left to the parent. What happened to the school library that used to provide books to children that would educate, entertain, and inspire them on topics common to their age group? We should all want to be cautious about what our children are exposed to and protect their innocence as long as possible. How do we think about our local community? And what values do we want our school to have? It's my understanding that Mr. Freeman chose parents, teachers, and administrators to be a part of a committee to review this book. After their evaluation, the committee recommended that the book remain in the Columbia Library, available for 9 to 11-year-old students to check out. I have no idea why. And there are so many words in this book that I can't even pronounce. And you'd have to literally have a Spanish dictionary in order to get everything that this book is trying to convey. So I don't get it. Thanks for listening.
Next speaker is, I apologize, is this Nora or Nora? Oh, okay. I believe the next speaker is this, I apologize, it's difficult to read. Is this Kevin? Kevin Payne, it is. Okay. No, she did not. All right, well, our next speaker is Sandy Christoph.
Hello, members of the board. I'm just going to give kind of some comments about the books that other people have mentioned. You'd be happy to know I'm not going to be reading anything. So I just want to say that I'm really glad that our spotlight on inappropriate books is starting to get addressed. And I'm asking you, the board, to help keep the focus on it as part of your job of setting policy and overseeing implementation. In reviewing just some books that have been available for students as young as 5 to 11 years old, we've found some very alarming material. This is occurring without parental knowledge or consent. These books are dangerous because they normalize and romanticize sexual and illegal behavior in minors. They include explicit and detailed descriptions of sexual conduct and sexual excitement, gender ideology, extreme racism and police hatred, suicide, alcohol and drug use, plus excessive profanity. It is not the school's place to entice, promote, or encourage exploration into sexual or illegal activities. At this age, parents are the ones best suited to decide when to discuss such sensitive issues. We want to be sure that what they see and hear at school is age appropriate and within the values and norms of our community. Introducing children to adult topics is not in their best interest, either in movies or in written materials from school. Just quoting from the King's local board responsibilities, it is the responsibility of each board member to represent the entire school district and to make decisions based on what's best for the school district as a whole, not individual preferences, end quote. Therefore, I'm asking you, the board, to appoint a citizens advisory committee, which will follow Ohio's sunshine laws. The committee would consist of parents and community members whose voices would help determine what is age appropriate for our youngest students. Our children need this protection and our community needs this transparency and accountability that would be provided in public forums. Consistent with current talks, the committee would address all materials currently available to grades K to 6, regardless of how they were procured or where they reside. In addition, the purchasing process should include scrutiny with the publisher descriptions with flags of potential inappropriate subjects like rape, sexual context, sexual excitement, self-harm, and other topics. Can we include warning tags or a rating system in our Destiny catalog for parents about sensitive topics? Is there a way to restrict access to books flagged by the committee as questionable by age group? Please, you can help keep the focus on protecting our King's elementary and intermediate school children with a board-appointed, transparent, and public citizens advisory committee for instructional materials K to 6. Thanks. We've got a great school district here, and the situation with these books doesn't seem to fit with our high standards.
Our next speaker is Sam Meisner.
Hi, good evening. I'm going to change the subject a little bit. I'm just excited about school tomorrow. My name is Sam Meisner. I teach computer science and engineering at the high school. I also live down the street. I coach. My son is going to start in preschool on Monday, which I'm just floored by. It's blowing my mind, actually. I got hired. This is my 8th year at King's. In 2015, I was hired as a math teacher. And Mr. Doug Leist, who was the principal and is still the principal there, came to me and asked me to start teaching more computer science classes. He said he wanted King's to be known for the computer science program, and so we needed to offer more classes. And I was like 22. I'm not in my 30s like now. And I was super excited. And my attitude was more like, you're my boss. I'll do whatever. I'll teach whatever you want me to teach. I was excited. I took like one computer science class when I first started, but I was excited And the intro to computer science class really took off. It really expanded phenomenally. I started teaching more and more of that class. In 2018, we offered AP Computer Science Principles class. This is my 4th year doing that. And I don't like to brag, but my scores are very good. They're always way above the state and national average. It's something I'm super, super proud of. Very excited. And so that program has grown so much as well. So much so that along with our engineering classes that I don't even teach any math anymore. I'm all computer science and engineering. And I wanted to share an email that I got. This is back in 2020. It was November. It's from a former student who was at Vanderbilt and is still at Vanderbilt. Her name is Danielle Page. She was awesome. One of my favorite students of all time. She said, "Hi, Mr. Meisner." She said a lot of stuff. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but "Hi, Mr. Meisner. I'm writing to let you know that I'm part of a group in my biomedical engineering class at Vanderbilt that is using App Inventor, which is the program we use in class, to provide a solution for COVID-related problems. I'm now the cool kid in my group because I have the most experience with that software. So I owe thanks to you for that." So I was so excited to hear from her, number one, but to hear that she was actually using App Inventor and Vanderbilt and using it to solve real world problems made me really excited. But the reality is, as much as I love to take all the credit comes from this school district, who has always prioritized offering our students with the best quality public education possible. We get opportunities, our students get opportunities here that a lot of school districts nearby don't have. There's a lot of schools that don't have AP Computer Science Principles, and that just speaks to the high standards and the priority of that. And that's why I'm here today to speak in support of the levy that will be voted on November 8th. That's why I want to share this opportunity. I'm going to do everything I possibly can as a community member to help pass this levy, because I want to keep the amazing opportunities here at King's for all of our kids. So thank you for listening.
Oh, sorry.
I hadn't heard that one before.
Our next speaker is Scott Sheeter.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, everybody. And I like to, just start off with best wishes to the teachers, the students, everybody, starting out with this upcoming school year. I think it's, it's going to be different this year. Hopefully it's positive. It's the first year for the last 2 or 3. It hasn't been a crazy beginning. So hopefully everything works out well. I also want to have a shout out to the bus drivers, because today they had a school backpack giveaway, and they had, they were giving face painting, and they did a lot of neat things. And that stuff, that's really good to see. So I am glad to see that. But I did want to talk about tonight a little bit. First off, is this homestead exemption program that's been talked about. It's great. Definitely it has its pluses and its minuses. But I guess just to go through some of the basics. First of all, you have to be at least age 65 to qualify, or certified permanently and totally disabled, or be a surviving spouse of somebody else who qualified. So once you get past that, it is a reduction in value of $25,000 of your house. So if your house was worth $100,000, you would pay real estate taxes on $75,000. It's not a get out of paying real estate taxes card by any means. So the only way you get out of paying real estate taxes is if your house is worth less than $25,000. Otherwise, you're going to pay some tax. What's also, there is an income threshold. You have to earn less than $34,600. Again, and this is based on your Ohio tax return. So it would be you and your spouse if you're married. Now, what is good about that, it does not count Social Security as part of your income. So hopefully, you have to have outside sources of income that exceeded $34,600 in order to qualify. So it's good, but it's not the end all. So I do think, we have to be careful with it, but people should be going out and getting this no matter what, even if there wasn't a levy on the books. If you qualify, you should be doing this. So I think that should be part of what we push out to people too, is go out and sign up for it as long as you qualify. And that's, I did want to mention one other thing. Mr. Morrow, what you put on the website, it's great. There's a lot of information out there. I can't say I like it all, but it's definitely, there's a lot out there, and it is much better than the prior levy processes that we went through. We have information, we can go through it all. And there is definitely a lot, and I can see why people would get overwhelmed looking at it, but you do put everything out there. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rachel Immerman.
Hey everyone, I am Rachel Immerman, a fourth grade teacher here at King's, and I am a proud teacher speaking in support of our levy on November 8th. So tomorrow, my colleagues and I will welcome in a new group of students in our classrooms, and a new school year brings all these new opportunities for moments of learning and challenge, moments of laughter, and so many special memories that we will remember and cherish together forever. This is my third year at King's, and last year I had the unique opportunity of being a fourth grade teacher here at King's, which I'm going to argue is one of the hardest jobs here, because on the last day of school, no matter how much I prepared, I was there sobbing at our fourth grade celebration because I realized for a moment that I might never see some of these kids, my family members, ever again, as I send them off to Columbia. And so all the parents are coming up, we're saying goodbye, it's chaotic, we're taking pictures, and I'm just sobbing like the professional that I am. And I know there's going to be a lot of educators, middle school teachers, you special educators, you paraprofessionals, you're working hard, I know it, but I'm still going to hold strong. Fourth grade in King's is hard, but nevertheless, it makes me undoubtedly so proud to know that I'm sending these kids that I've spent a whole year with in hopes of making them the best humans that they possibly can be, in hopes of the fact that they someday are going to change the world like they already do in our schools and classrooms and communities every day. But I'm sending them off to my colleagues, our wonderful staff and educators at Columbia. And I know that they are going to pour the same amount of love and energy and hope that I and my colleagues at my school did all year long. King's community, your students are being served so well every single day when they walk in those doors, with the big good morning, fist bumps or hugs or whatever makes them feel valued. We are here to do that. We are here to do that tomorrow as we welcome in a new school year. This is our town. These are our kids. This is our future. Please remember to vote on November 8th. Thank you.
Next on the agenda for approval are items from the treasurer. Mr. Morrow, did you have anything to add?
There was one addition since the work session. I'll talk about that when we get there. Items 1 through 5 are just the standard minutes. I hope the board had a chance to look over those. Item 6 is the financial items. I don't have anything to add, but I'll entertain any questions if anything came up in the last week. Annual commercial paper reporting. This is a compliance item. We work with our partners at Red Tree to invest King's money as wisely as possible, with safety being number one, but also trying to gain some interest. And this is just a required report. And this is the new addition since the work session. Or cyber liability insurance. So if anything happens in the technology world, and we incur costs to remedy that, this covers us up to $1 million. It's actually gone down a little bit from last year. So our insurance consultants did a good job of finding good coverage for us. then we have our public records log. Working through a few of these to get everything sent out to the community members.
Does the cyber liability insurance, Mr. Morrow, does that just include, what does that include? What's the scope of that? Is it just infrastructure within the buildings? Is it?
It's anything from data recovery to
Okay.
infrastructure if something happened, to if somehow an imposter took over our system and made payments that weren't authorized. So a little bit of everything, anything that technology touches, it would cover if we had a breach of some kind.
Now, does the lower premium result in lower coverage from last year?
No, we still have $1 million in coverage. That's the same as last year.
Okay.
No change in that coverage. The structure of the plan is a little bit different. The group as a whole went in on a master policy with each district getting up to $1 million in coverage based on size and need. So it's more of a pooled approach rather than us just getting it on our own from a company. And we did that because I'm sure you guys have heard cyber crimes are on the rise. So there's more liability. So if we would have went out on our own and just tried to get it without being part of this consortium of schools, we would have seen substantial increases. So there's some buying power built into that.
Any further questions for the first 9 items? Mr. Morrow, could you call the roll, please?
Need a motion.
Oh, excuse me. Need a motion to approve the first 9 items.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Morrow, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Skirl,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. Next on the agenda, continuing, Mr. Morrow, is the health insurance renewal.
So as I mentioned last week, the insurance committee, and I'll give them full credit prior to me arriving, has made a lot of changes in the last few years to try to keep our premium increases low. You can look back on the history that I posted here. We were up in 26% increase in 1 year. So with the changes, we're down to 4.4%, which is below the market average and the lowest we've had in the 5 prior years. And that's with no change to the coverage for our employees.
Any further questions? So may I have a motion to approve the health insurance renewal?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion. Mr. Morrow.
Mr. Skirl,
I am abstaining from this vote.
Mr. Belfrom,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Ms. Groff.
Yes.
And just to provide some explanation behind my abstaining, I work for the company who provides this insurance, so I didn't want to take any part in any vote of that.
Thank you, Mr. Skirl. Next on the agenda are approval items for the superintendent. Mr. Sears, did you have anything to add, sir?
No, just an approval for our hardworking Kings band to attend a overnight in Toledo in September.
With that, may I have a motion to approve the item from the superintendent?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Morrow.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Mr. Skirl,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. Next are approval items from the assistant superintendent with regards to matters of HR and business. Mr. Spinner, did you have anything to add here, sir?
Thank you, President Belfrom, King's Board of Education. I'm going to move this over to Mr. Lucky, who's going to continue the conversation relative to safety and security and the job description and salary schedule that are items 1 and 2 under campus security.
Thank you, Mr. Spinner. You'll see there at the attachment, our job description for our new campus security personnel. We posted 2 positions for KHS and KJH, and those will be interchangeable roles. So they'll rotate around the entire building. In the description, it talks pretty detailed length of what these individuals will be able to do and be able to provide. In the interview process, we uncovered a lot of great things. So we're very excited with our 2 new SROs and these 2 new roles to provide the safest learning environment that we possibly can at our high school and junior high, and then all of our lower level buildings. These 2 will be focused there. The expectations were set that they'll be ultimately flexible in the needs of the district. So if there's times that one of the deputies needs to go get their range time in, they're able to cover at any building for us throughout the district. So very excited for these 2 new roles and the salary schedule there in the next attachment. You'll be able to see that as well. Once we get through the next couple things, I'll jump back in and talk a little bit.
The next item Mr. Lucky is referring to is our personnel items. There are a few additions, 2 of them of which he's going to talk about in a moment, but I would like to circle back around to what we discussed last week with the addition of a kindergarten position at JF Burns to address the ever increasing enrollment numbers in that particular building. On the 16th or on the 9th, when we met last, our kindergarten class throughout the district, our 3 buildings, was at 364 students. We have since increased by a number of 22 students to make that class, as of 3 o'clock today, 386 students, which is now the 3rd largest class in the district, just 9 behind the 2nd largest class. So I would anticipate it'll be very competitive to be moving into that particular slot before week's end, perhaps. So we'll continue to monitor those numbers, but I do appreciate the board's support as we continue to address enrollment and keep our class sizes to a reasonable number. I believe Mr. Lucky at this time is going to talk about the 2 campus security recommendations up for vote this evening.
So our interview process, we brought in 10 individuals. We had over 20 applicants and are super excited. One of our candidates is Chad Cadell, 26-year police experience, Union Township, Claremont County Sheriff's Office, and recently retired from the City of Loveland Police Force. His wife is a teacher in the district at JF Burns. Interviewed extremely well. He's very excited to be a part of the staff over there. And our next candidate, Veronica Mitchell, has been with the district for 5 years. Unbelievable in the interview process. Very excited to have her as a part of that team. She's going to bring a lot to the table. She's worked in our MD room at the high school as a para. They are not thrilled to see her make the move, but it's a great opportunity for her, and it's a great opportunity for us after spending some time with her in that interview process. So very excited about these 2 to bring them on board on our team and get this thing going.
Any questions? May I have a motion to approve the items from the Assistant Superintendent and Business Manager?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion. Mr. Morrow?
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull.
Yes.
We don't have any items from Mrs. Martin and Mr. Freeman this evening. Correct? All right. Next is items presented by the board. Our first piece of business here is to appoint a delegate to the annual business meeting at this year's OSBA conference. Any takers?
I had the honor and privilege of being the delegate last year, and I believe you were my alternate.
I was.
You were. So I don't know if either of our new members are.
Fresh new faces.
Yes, sir.
What would be involved with this role?
Your main responsibility is to attend the business meeting. And I believe that's the Monday.
Yes.
Conference. It's in the afternoon. I can't promise you a length of time. Sometimes it can be lengthy. I know that my meeting was pretty lengthy.
It was.
Because it is a very large room in
delegates, and they're very passionate about different subjects. So you might be in there for a couple hours, but it is very interesting to hear some of the thoughts and causes from different parts of the state, and you do get to vote on things. So you would represent Kings in any subject that comes up. You'd be able to cast your vote on behalf of our district on what you think would be best for us. And you could even speak if you like. That's up to you.
And of course, the alternate would have the same responsibilities in the event that our delegate could not attend. I actually tried to attend with Mrs. Cowan last year, and they wouldn't let me come in the room because I believe the governor was coming.
Yes.
And they didn't have enough capacity for everyone.
Yes, this last meeting, our governor was there, Governor DeWine, and did a very nice speech, actually, to open the meeting, and then our delegates, and you also, there's different positions that are introduced to the full delegation as they, appoint a new president and such. And there's awards that are passed out. It's a very nice meeting if you have time to do it. I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm sure Mr. Belfram would have enjoyed it if he could have.
It's informative, and obviously you get a good look at for instance, the rules of order at the state conference, and get an opportunity to connect with some of our colleagues on other boards across the state in this area and across the state as well. So, in general, the entire conference is a very worthwhile experience, but the business meeting is critical. So no pressure on the two of you, of course, but we're just here in front of all these people. So, I just, whatever. No, honestly, I mean, if you want to do it,
this sounds like something I would probably enjoy.
It does. I concur, Mr. Squirrel.
I hope I properly sold it to you.
I believe you did, Mrs. Cowan.
Now, do I need to put in my own nomination, or do one of you need to nominate me for
No,
that?
I would be thrilled to nominate you to be our delegate this year.
I would second that nomination.
All right.
So I nominate John Skirl.
You third.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, I'd be glad to.
And I would be happy to be the alternate unless Mrs. Groff, you'd like to be.
I would be happy to if you.
All right.
There's a lot of agreement here.
I think at that point, with that, Mr. Morrow, we just need to fill out the form. You need a motion for that? You don't need a, yeah, somebody didn't think so. Okay. Yes, please. With that, did we have any other items to present?
I just wanted to say what a pleasure it was to attend the new teacher breakfast welcoming. That was so great to see all those excited faces ready to serve our students, and also the program yesterday for the teachers was amazing to attend. And as you pointed out, the people who stood up and did their presentations, they did a fantastic job, and you all did a fantastic job in putting that together. So thank you.
Great.
Mr. Belfram, if I could throw something in, I wanted to touch base on transportation.
Absolutely.
If it's all right. Just wanted to update the community and the board on one from a building maintenance custodial teachers coming in. A thank you to kind of reiterate what Mr. Sears had said. I wanted to bring in, we have 3 new team members in our transportation office, and I wanted to bring them in tonight, but they are very busy working, getting ready for tomorrow. So I'll get them in here next month. But those guys have worked very hard. Our drivers are excited to get the kids tomorrow morning. But just to fill you in on some details, last year we had 48 routes through a whole lot of hard work and grinding through routes. We've been able to get down to 47 routes. So we've eliminated a route, which eliminates $60,000 of cost. So those guys have worked very hard to be able to do that. Part of the reason for that, to continue to grind that as hard as we can, with those 47 routes, realistically, we have 41 Kings local school bus drivers that took routes. We've got 6 subs, 2 drivers from CME and 2 drivers from Marymount on our team. So this is not a statement to scare anyone, but as a parent with kids on a bus, I would just make sure you have a plan B, because if we have several people take a day off, there could possibly be a rolling kind of blackout for a specific route, and we will rotate around the district to do that if we have to. That is a last resort of ours. The good thing about Peterman is they have the ability to tap on other districts and bring drivers in, but that's our driver situation currently. So 41 drivers in house. We'll have 40 tomorrow. We have 1 out with a doctor's appointment, 6 subs, and 4 from other districts. But those guys have worked very hard in their new roles to come in and find some efficiency. So it's been great. I'll bring them in next month.
That'd be great. And just as you mentioned, the routes, the change in routes, I know we've had some questions with regards to that as it relates to our state funding. And our state funding is not based on the number of routes, it's based on the number of riders, correct?
Correct. So our state funding is based on ridership. So we'll do a student count in October every year that tells us the funding that we get. Our budget for transportation is just about $4 million. The state funds us for about $89,000. What was the number?
870,000.
870. A little bit off there. $870,000. So the Kings District covers a giant portion of that total. So that's the state formula that we use. It's based on ridership, not routes.
Right. Thank you for that. Well, I do have some items to share for Mrs. Phillips, who was unable to be here tonight. I think these are all things that we as our colleagues can certainly agree upon, administration. And they've been touched on here with some of you already, but we really just wanted to thank the teachers of the district, the staff, for the ways that they have welcomed students back this year. Administration as well, the socials, the Meet the Teachers, the newsletters, the tweets, the blogs. There's been YouTubes. I know that students have received even personalized communications, letters from teachers going forward. And it really is, as Rachel mentioned, as Ms. Emmerman and Mr. Meisner mentioned, it really is a testament to our staff just in the last couple of years. I mean, I'm reminded of what happened March 13th of 2020 and the way our staff just really stepped up to finish out that school year and then to begin that 2021 school year and all of the sacrifices that they made so that we could maintain in-person school. So I know that's something that Ms. Phillips really, and I think we all echo those sentiments, that we are really grateful to have such a great staff here and all of the hard work. Teachers do so much beyond, what so in the job description and creating these connections with students, as we saw earlier, just with the teachers from SLE, and it's in the administration as well. I know I've been up here many times this summer, and Mr. Morrow and Ms. Sears are the only ones here grinding away. So I want to echo those sentiments from Ms. Phillips, that we really appreciate all of their hard work. She also asked me to note that we want to thank Mr. Adams, and Nigel Adams came in, and we have a podcast here for the Kings High School Employability Program. Mr. Goldie oversees, and he came in and shared his career here at Kings as part of the Workforce Development Show. Now I sound like a game show host. If you have not listened to said podcast, be sure and check it out. I'm looking at some of our teachers here. I would welcome more podcasts for parents to be able to listen to, hint, hint. one on computer science might be especially interesting. And lastly, Mrs. Phillips, and I'm just kind of going to echo something I said earlier, and as well as the other colleagues, is I'm going to embarrass him again, but we really want to thank Mr. Lucky. We're just highlighting him specifically. Been a lot of hard work that Mr. Lucky has been working on. And I know Peggy, Mrs. Phillips, excuse me, has, just mentions of his hands-on leadership. If there is a facilities or campus, quote unquote, fire to put out, if you don't see Mr. Lucky there, then he just hasn't gotten there yet. He's on his way. His work with the Sheriff's Department, Deerfield Township, for our SROs and campus security, his attention to detail, our landscaping, our learning environments are always, immaculate. He takes great pride and care in doing his job. Everything, Mrs. Phillips has quite a bit of energy, lighting, wiring, maintenance, furniture, blacktop, stadium, tennis. If you've taken any time to listen to any of our meetings, you can see the extent of the work that he does with the townships, the cities, the hamlets, the businesses, individuals, all of these done with respect to our enrollment, as was referenced by Mr. Spinner. One of our largest kindergarten classes ever, currently have over 4,700 students enrolled for tomorrow, which I think may be the most we've ever had in Kings. And all of them, not just Mr. Lucky, they do so much to accommodate as we've seen all of this growth in the last several years. So we really just wanted to thank all of them. But Mr. Lucky, I like embarrassing you because I know you would do it to me. So we just wanted to thank you. I know you've had a lot of challenges this summer. And we just wanted to highlight that, appreciate all that you've been doing. So appreciate it. That's all I had. Anyone else have anything else? And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting?
Oh,
Not
wait,
yet.
legislative update.
Legislative updates. I'm so sorry. It's been a long day. Legislative update, Mr. Carroll.
All right. So as the legislature is currently on recess right now, there's nothing new that's been provided to or signed by the governor. But I do just want to give a few updates of some things that have been going on since we met last. So Governor DeWine did release details related to the allocation of $100 million for the school safety grant program, which was recently authorized in House Bill 687. To date, 47 million approximately has already been distributed to schools, with the remaining 53 million still to be applied for and distributed here. Mr. Sears, Mr. Morrow, I don't know, is there any update on where we are for Kings on that?
Throw it back to Mr. Lucky. He spoke on that at the meeting last week.
Right. So we're working on that process, putting together our PA system and camera updates to turn in for the grants. Okay. So then we could potentially be seeing some of that money coming in. Thank you. Then just some State Board of Education updates. I've provided a thing here on that provides links to the several resolutions that have been passed, approved by the State Board of Education at their July meeting. The first one is to increase the third grade reading promotion score from 683 to 685. Also a resolution to adopt revised learning standards for computer science in grades K through 12. A resolution to update the dyslexia guidebook as a result of dyslexia law changes recently enacted on House Bill 583. Then also the State Board discussed a resolution to consider about hiring a firm to conduct a search for a superintendent of public construction expected to begin in the fall. If you'd like to read those resolutions, there's links provided to the file there on board docs. And also in the upcoming months, I will be providing federal updates as opposed to just state updates. And then also any watch list items for some items that have come up that we may want to be paying attention to or following more closely prior to these items going for signature.
Thank you, Mr. Skrull. I apologize, sir. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting?
I will make that motion.
I will second that motion.
Mr. Morrow.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull. Yes. Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. Everyone have a good evening.
Thank you.